Potomac Bead Company, and today I want to share with you this beaded bead, which is using some of our Potomac Bead Company exclusive, like the StormDuo and the DiscDuo. I'm calling this the Eye of Sauron beaded bead, and you can kind of see why the center of the beads is going to make it look like an actual eye. Because of the name, I decided that with you today, I'm going to do more of actually Eye of Sauron colors to kind of make it look actually more like the eye. You are going to be needing some DiscDuos, StormDuos, and then seed beads. If you need any of those, below the video, there is a date that says when the video was published, and there's more information there. If you click on the little down arrow or the little show more button, it'll give you links to the different product categories for you to use. So you will need DiscDuos. I used Aztec Gold here in the example, using 3 of them per bead. I'm going to use the Sandalwood in our example together. And then the StormDuos, you're using 4 per side, so 12 altogether. And here I have the Lila Vega Luster. I'm going to be using the bronze in the StormDuo for the actual eye bead. The 15-0 seed beads then that you'll be using, either champagne or I'm going to be using the black color. And then for the 11-0 seed beads there, I have that green color, and I'm going to be switching it up to a Toho 11-0 in the aluminum color. And you're just using, again, 12 of those, plus if you want to use them on the corners instead of 8-0s, you can use 11-0s like I have here. So you're going to need 18 of them altogether. You are going to be using 2 needles to start. We're going to do the whole center of the project, and then 1 needle will go to one side and 1 needle will go to the other side. You can use size 10 or size 12 needles for this. I also like to have handy a thread zap or a thread burner, and then I'm using 0.006 wildfire beading thread to do the actual beaded bead. In this, we are going to learn how to do kind of that right angle technique with 2 needles, as well as decorate the ends of the bead, and then also how to downgrade and bring them together. So to get started, I would like you to get 5 feet of beading thread with 2 needles, 1 on either end of the thread, and we'll go ahead and get ready to begin our Eye of Sauron bead. So to begin, we're actually going to be making 3 panels here. We're going to do 2, and then the third one we will add together at that right angle weave section. So to begin, we are going to begin with the 15-0s and 11-0s right there in the middle, and then grabbing on toward the center through both holes of our DiscDuo. To do so, with your right or left needle, doesn't matter which one, you're going to add 3 15s, 1 11, 3 15s onto the needle. Let those drop down. Again, we have 2 needles on our thread. Let that drop down to the base of the thread. So that way it's just kind of hanging out down there in the middle of the thread. If you need to, you can set this up on your bead mat. You want to pick up your StormDuos so they're facing in towards the actual DiscDuo. So they're almost cupping them in. So you can kind of lay them out if you need to. So that way you get that eye effect. Laying them out then, once you do that, it's easy to grab the needle on the right and go through the actual DiscDuo here with that side. And then with the other one, you're going through the same DiscDuo, facing the StormDuo in so that the curvature is right there towards the middle. Go through the second hole of the DiscDuo, and then pick up the next StormDuo. Again, that the opening or the curvature is going towards the top. That's going to be how you get that eye effect. And we're going to bring it out the top. So as you bring out the top of the design then, you'll see those seed beads kind of curve around and sit at the top in those grouping of 3 and then 1. We are going to do the same thing here at the top. So with my needle on the right hand side, because I'm right hand dominant, I'm going to add my 3 seed beads, then my 1 11, and then my 3 15s. The one that's on, drop that down onto the thread, the needle that's in my left hand then, I'm going to cross through those beads and come out the other side. Again, making sure when I pull the thread that I have an equal distant amount of thread on both sides, that it didn't shift. And you can see the second side, because we have 2 threads going through it, it almost pulls it flatter. That is also going to occur on that first side as we go back in and add these seed beads along the edge. To add the seed beads along the edge, the thread that's coming out the right side, we're going to add 4 new 15s and go down through the 2 outer holes of the StormDuo. And that's going to decorate then that outer edge to have that more so even eye effect. When I'm coming out the bottom then, I'm just going to kind of let it hang out there for a second because I want to mimic when you're doing 2 needles. Usually everything that you do on one side, you're also going to do on the other side. So mimicking it here, I'm going to do my 4 15s. And then I flip it in my hand so that way I can go back to that right hand dominance and go through those 2 StormDuos on the opposite side. So now I have the outer edges, they're decorated with those 4 additional beads. Along the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take my needle and thread 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then after those 4 beads, I'm going to go up through the 3 seed beads and through the 11L. And that's going to connect and decorate that side. Again, kind of flipping the project in my hand. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Add my 4 seed beads. Now those of you that are saying you can do this with 1 needle, you can. I actually did the whole example with 1 needle, but it's much easier to teach and to explain when using 2 needles. So again, up through, I put those 4 seed beads on just like I did the opposite side, and then up through the 15s, the 3 that are already there, and out through the 11. And if you happen to get thread twisted in there like I did, make sure that's out before you pull. So there we have 1 whole unit or 1 whole panel. A lot of times if you're doing a decorated beaded bead like this and you're not going from a bigger bead to a smaller bead, you're going to think of your beads or your sections as panels and then kind of how to bring those panels together. So in this case, it's a triangle shape. And last night when I was playing around with this, I did make it in a squared shape and then decided it was just too large for my taste, but depending on what I wanted to do. So you can do this longer. When I'm here at this 11-0 then, what I'm going to do is a series basically of right angle weave. Instead of using 1 needle for that right angle weave, I'm going to use 2. I'm going to pick up 1 11 on my right needle and 1 11 on my left needle. Let those drop down and pick up another 11. This third 11 that I'm picking up, I'm going to take the needle through 1 right to left and then the other left to come out the right hand side. What this is going to do then is make that little right angle weave unit. That right angle weave unit is the way also that we're going to connect this beaded bead and start over in our next section and our next pattern. To stiffen that and make it so that it doesn't kind of want to go one side or another, if you are using 1 needle, go ahead and reinforce and go around 1 more time that right angle unit. Coming out here then, it's going to be the same as when we started, except our 11 is already on. So what we are going to do is split our needles, 1 to the right and 1 to the left, and add our 3 15-0 seed beads on either needle. Drop that down and get ready to add our next little Eye of Sauron. So to do so again, if you need to set it up, you can, or know that when you pick up the bead, you want the opening or the curvature to be facing open and up. I'm going to add my DiscDuo because then you can see it cups it. And then I'm going to add my next one so that opening or that curvature is facing down again, so that way I know that it's going to cup the DiscDuo. Did that on one side, now it's the other side. Again, make sure that cupping or that opening is towards the top. Add that DiscDuo. And then cupping or opening goes towards the bottom and push that all down. So that establishes my second eye. You can also say in your head, oh, this would be a great bracelet. It would. You can keep going and make it a bracelet and not do the beaded bead. That's up to you. So at this point then, we're just on repeat. We're going with the 3 11 or the 3 15s, 1 11, 3 15s. I add them on the right needle, pick up the left, and cross through those beads. Making sure to cross through all of them, since one wanted to escape. And as I push them then together and push the bead through, I'm going to pull both threads nice and tight. Then add the 3 beads or the 4 beads along the side and go from the bottom, or go the whole way to the bottom rather, of the opening holes of the outer iris duos, or storm duos rather. You could do this with iris duos too. On go 4 more 15s, and I'm going to pick up those 3 15s that are there, cross through my 11. And at this point you're going to say, oh, on the last one we were able to work from the bottom. I'll show you how we're going to get to the top on the second bead. Here on the side I'll do my 4 seed beads, go through my storm duos, pull that taut, add my 4 beads along the bottom section here, and then up through those seed beads and cross through that same 11-0. Now, like I said, as we added the other one, I was able to just continue to go from the bottom because there were no other beads here. To get back to the top, you're just going to crisscross with the needle on the right. I'm going to go up the right side, crisscross through those 15s that sit along the side, through that first hole of the storm duo, through the disc duo and the storm duo. A lot of times you have to do that separately. Coming out the top of that storm duo then, as you can guess, we're going to go through those 3 beads and crisscross through that 11. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to work my threaded needle through the 3 15s, storm duo, disc duo, storm duo, 3 15s, come out the 11 there, crisscrossing, and then I'm going to get ready to actually create my third eye. So coming out here, the third eye, you can rewind the video, you can slow it down, and you're going to go back and do the exact same steps and the exact same pattern as you did for the second one to establish that third one in line. After you have the third one in line and your needle and thread are at the top of the third, I'll show you how we're going to join them together and start to decorate and bring them into an actual triangle bead shape. So as you get done your third unit, I'm at the top like I would be adding one more unit. You can see with these cross sections of the right angle weave, and look in your mind and think exactly what needs to happen. So again, this could be a bracelet. You can keep going. You could come back down the line and kind of decorate it. That's up to you. But as I make it into a beaded bead, I'm going to take the starting one, so number 1 and number 3, and you're going to turn them in towards one another. The only thing they're going to need to connect are the beads along the side of the right angle unit in silver. So the needle that's on the right hand side, I'm going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, come to the right hand side of the 11-0 at the beginning or the start, and sew through that towards the left hand side. So that was the needle on the right, making sure it's turning in on itself. You can see how it swings out to the right hand side. Flipping it in my hand, what was the left now, I'm going to pick up with my right hand, put on another 11-0, and cross through that same bead from the same side. So the thread's just going from one bead to the other bead on the same side, and then crisscrossing. And when you pull together, then you get the start of that beaded bead. So you get that in the round. So it's kind of a fun little way to actually make a lot of different bracelets into beaded beads. From here, then the needle that's on the right hand side is going to go towards the right hand side of the bead. The needle that's on the left is going to go to the left as we bring them together and add some additional seed beads. So the needle that's on the right hand side, I want it to come out of one of the side beads on that right angle weave unit. So I'm going to sew back through. So the needle was coming out the right. I'm sewing from the top of that bead on the side down towards the bottom. Same thing with the needle on the left is going to come out. I want it exiting one of those side beads. For now, I'm going to leave that needle on the left, hang out, and just wait as I go through and do the ending steps with the needle on the right. Again, pretty much everything you do with one side, you're going to do with the other side. So here along the outer edge, and to bring it kind of back into the design, I want to pick up 2 15s. Skip those 3 beads that were on the center sections that add to the right angle weave, and you're going to go up through the 4 beads that you added along the side of the StormDuo. Bring your needle through those. So again, we added 2 beads coming out of that side right angle unit, and then we went through those 4 beads along the side of the StormDuo. From here, we're going to create basically peaks along the top of our StormDuo units at the sides of the eyes. Those are going to consist of 3 15s and 1 11, and then 3 15s. Coming to the other side then, I'm going to sew down through the 4 beads on the opposite side of that StormDuo unit. And bring my thread and needle out. Give a nice tight pull to tighten that up, and it will make a big difference with the tightening because you will see it kind of pull right away. Again, I'm going to add 2 15s and then sew into that outer bead on the right angle unit in silver. So you're basically sewing through those beads that stick out along the side. It's going to make it appear as if the seed beads next to the right angle unit are doubled. Again, add 2 15s, and then you're going to sew up through those 4 beads along that top of the StormDuo. Coming out those 4 beads then, you add 7 beads on, 3 15s, 1 11, 3 15s. Again, give a tight pull to make that really kind of peak and triangle. So 3 15s, 1 11, 3 15s. And if you want to bring it back even closer, you can do 2 15s, 11, and 2 15s. I wanted a little bit more pointed shape, so I did 3. Again, then down the 4 beads on the opposite end. Give a nice tight pull. 2 15s get added, and you see I can almost wear it as a thimble as I work with it. It makes it easier to go around. So I add 2 more 15s. I sew through that side unit as I get around to making my third peak. 2 15s get added as you come out that side 11. Go up through those 4 beads and add on the others. So I'm doing this obviously just on one side right now. After this side is completed, I'll flip over and do it on the other side. So I'm going through and adding my beads here, coming down the unit, going down those 4 beads along the side, giving a nice tight pull. And then as I end here, I'll dump out a couple more beads. As I end here, I'm ending up where that first 11 OC bead we were coming out of. So I still need to add 2 more 15s and then sew through that 11 O. From there, I'm just going to let that needle hang out a little bit and now flip over from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And I'm going to repeat, adding my 2 seed beads, going up along the edge, and adding on the peaks of all of those eyes. Finishing up the second side, it's going to look exactly like the first side, and your thread is going to come out, or should be coming out, the exact same right angle unit. From here, we're going to go up along the side and then basically bring these peaks together and sew through those 3 11s on either side. The needle that's in your hand, go ahead and go up through the 2 beads after the 11. Then you're going to go up through those 4 beads along the side. You might have to do a little wiggling depending on your 15s if you have on a size 10 needle. Then go up through the 3 beads that sit along the 11 and to the peak through the 11 OC bead. Along the other side, same deal. You're going up through those, basically that line of 15s is what you want your needle to go through. I'm going to take my needle through, and wherever it comes out, I'll go ahead and get it established so it's coming out the exact same place on either side. So at this point now, we are through to the corner. Now to pull the corner in, you can either sew through all the 11 O's, which is going to make a tight closure like that. What I'm going to do is sew through the 11 O's, but as I get coming out of each 11, I'm going to separate it with a 15. So I sew through and I'm coming out the 11. I'm going to catch all 3 11s and add a 15 on my needle between it. One thing that you do want to try to make sure is when you're sewing through that bead along the tip, that 11-0, you want to try to make sure that your thread, and when you're sewing through basically any bead for a second time, that your thread is actually going above the previous stitches that are in there. Add on a 15, sew through the 11, add on a 15, sew through the 11. So I'm not pulling tight, just so you can see. So I added a 15 on each thread, sewed through the 11s, and then I'm going to pull nice and tight. I'm then going to take my thread and needle through that same thing one more time, just to reinforce that connection spot. Also, that will make sure that it's tight, so when I pass a thread through it, or a head pin, or whatever you're using the beaded bead for, there won't be as much chance that the thread kind of moves off to one side or another. It's going to lay right there in the middle. So same thing on the other side, you're going to flip your beaded bead around. You can also see you could make this kind of a vessel and put something in it, make it a pendant, and have it open further as you're making it. So lots and lots of uses for this beaded bead. Again, just add a 15 between each 11. And then, as we finish up here, my last step is going to be to get my thread ends together and tie a knot. So it's quite simple. Again, if you do want to do this project with one needle, it's going to be a kind of a lot of right angle weave and going from one side to the other. You certainly can. This also, once again, can be used as a bracelet. You can use these as earrings. You can do one single panel. So keep in mind that it is really, really versatile. And I like to see what people do. So at this point now, I have my eye completely done. So it has that nice triangular effect that you can see it at the top, kind of has that perfection fit. I had actually posted, if you're not a member of our beading group for beading and jewelry making, that it took me about an hour and a half to figure out this beaded bead, and I had lots of different versions. Some of the simplest things, sometimes it takes the longest to figure out the exact spacing. So did that for you guys, and now you guys can enjoy. So the Eye of Sauron bracelet, you could make it as earrings. You can take a head pin just directly through it. If you are taking a head pin or something through the bottom, I would suggest using an 8-0 to stop the head pin from going through. But you can make a collection of these beaded beads in all different colors, all different shapes. You can make that right angle unit really stick out or kind of fade more in. Again, all you're going to do to actually end the unit is retrace your thread line. So go back through to kind of one of these right angle units and take your thread the whole way up and tie off the ends of the actual thread. So once you're done and you tie off your threads, you have your Eye of Sauron bead completed. Like I said, it really has so many different uses. It can be used as that kind of vial shape that you could put something inside of it. It can be used as a beaded bead. You can extend it out as a bracelet. You can do it here like I did with the purple one off camera. Just made an eye pin and then put a bead on it to have it be a hanging from a pendant, or you could do an earring as well with a little gemstone on top. So have fun kind of making these Eye of Sauron design beaded beads. Again, make it what you want it and change up the sizes, change up the beads, and have fun kind of creating. As always, I like to give you ideas like working with those 2 needles, taking one back to either side, creating these beaded beads out of panels and making the panels to fit exactly the desired length that you want. Again, if you need any of the materials to do these, you can go back to the beginning of the video where there's the little date stamp that says when the video was produced, and there's links inside of there. As always, you can also subscribe to this YouTube channel. You'll get regular updates then when we make new videos or have new products like the StormDuos ready to launch, as well as get kind of first-hand look at some of the new designs with the newer beads. As well, you can join us on Facebook and Instagram. Join our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making, like I said earlier, excuse me, that I was asking questions about this and kind of showing off the design, as well as take a look if you do need materials to purchase from us online at PotomacBeads.com, and if you're in Europe, PotomacBeads.eu as well. Thank you so much for watching, and have fun creating the Eye of Sauron beaded bead.